anybody of the general public that would like to record this meeting, please let myself or one of the other committee members know. First on our agenda is approval of minutes. We have minutes of the June 20th regular school committee meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those? We have a motion to accept from Patrick, second from Michael. All in favor? Unanimous in favor. Next up on the agenda is announcements, correspondence, and distributions. Do members have any announcements, correspondence, or distributions? Patrick?
I do have one announcement. We had a meeting of the Woodland School Building Committee, and it was a public meeting. So we invited everyone from the public to please come and attend. It was actually very, very well attended. I want to say there were probably 25 to 30 parents that were in attendance that night. There were some very good questions that were asked. There were several school committee members there. Well, the chairman was there, and Mr. Moraes was there as well. And I think it was a very good meeting. It was a very informative meeting. I think that we found that most of the questions that our parents and taxpayers had, we could answer pretty well, and I think that they liked the answers that we had. And so we're looking forward to our next school building committee public session. So I think it went really well. I want to thank everyone that came as well, and I want to thank all the media outlets that helped us broadcast that meeting, because without the knowledge out there, no one would know to attend. So it was great.
Yeah, having been, I couldn't agree. It was very exciting to see. Yeah. We got to see some very preliminary floor plans and a little bit of discussion of where the building might be placed on the property. So it was very informative, and I thought the program managers and the architects and everyone that presented did a fantastic job. So, yeah, thank you.
I agree. It was exciting to see the initial concepts.
Yeah.
I don't think they could build that school fast enough. It's really, really exciting. And the one thing that really stood out to me was on that first slide, that statistic that they gave that said, I think per the regulations, a school of that size should be somewhere around 148,000 square feet, and I think we're at like 68,000 square feet. So we're nowhere near where we should be today for our population. So that was really informative. It was a good meeting.
Put things in perspective.
Yeah.
Any other members?
I just have a couple distributions this evening, Mr. Chairman. I left at your seats the bedtime reading. This is the Selected Massachusetts General Laws 2013. So you have the updated book on that one. Also, Kathy Perry distributed this request at the last meeting about the auditor's report that came up in the meeting. So you have a copy of that. Certainly Kathy can speak to that if need be, but it's just a follow-up item. And I was able to get, I have a copy for you, Mr. Walsh, for the American School Board Journal. We recall the recognition from Milford Schools about the article. So I was able to get a copy that's called Agents of Change. Our school board success stories continue at this Massachusetts board that made a controversial decision to bring its special education program in-house and deepen the trust between the district and the community. And this goes around when we moved that program, as you recall, to the now the Milestones program, moving it away from the partnership that we had with the Center for Children. So that's that article in here. I'll just pass this around for you to take a look at. And a picture of Mike and I will be happy to autograph that. So I'll just got a couple of copies around there. So it's just good positive news about the Milford School Committee, and so your boards across the country will have a chance to see that as well.
Trying to get a quick sneak peek at the picture.
You're not missing much.
We had a hard time taking that picture.
We did. I'll find it for you.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I'll pull it for you. We did. It took us a few takes.
We couldn't figure out if I was too tall or Bob was too short.
And when did that just came out?
It came out in April.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get a copy, so they sent us an online version. I wanted the actual.
Okay, very nice.
The actual hard copy version of it. But we were able to score a couple of copies of that for free.
Great, thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Next up is invitation to speak. Anyone here for invitation to speak? Seeing no one. Next up is our Superintendent of Schools end of cycle summative evaluation that has been distributed to Bob a couple of days ago, and you've had the chance to review that, correct,
I have,
Bob?
yes, thank you very much.
I want to thank all the committee members for filling out their individual evaluations, and I'd especially like to thank the summative evaluation subcommittee, which Patrick and Joe participated on in helping me sort of pull all the information together and make it a nice, concise report that it is. So thank you. Well, we'll dive right in. What I'd like to do is go through it in its entirety. At the end, if anyone has any additional comments they'd like to make, we could do that then. And of course, Bob, if you have any comments you'd like to reflect back, we could do that then as well.
Great.
Okay? Okay, what I want to do first is go over and assess the progress towards last year's goals, the 2012-2013 goals. There are 3 different sections of goals that Bob went over actually in our previous meeting. There are professional practice goals, student learning goals, as well as district improvement goals. In each of those 3 subcategory of goals are scored on a scale of did not meet, some progress, significant progress, met or exceeded. So overall, Bob, it was a very good year. It was a successful, you were successful in meeting progress towards all of your goals. The goals in the professional practice section, which was the Milford Public Schools Educator Evaluation System, as well as the student learning goals that included the curriculum committee, was scored as meeting those goals. With goals related to district improvement, you made significant progress by using data analysis and decision-making, and you met the goal of the standards-based report card for grades K through 4. In other goals, communicating with the Milford School Committee and staying on time with the Woodland School Building Project, we also scored you as meeting these goals. Some of the comments that were extracted from the members' evaluations with respect to the curriculum was that it was necessary for you to get involved and take the lead in the curriculum committee so that you could better understand what duties and tasks were required to develop a district-wide integrated curriculum plan. The formation of the curriculum committee and the work that has been done thus far by the members of this committee has been very promising and exciting for the Milford Public Schools. We are confident that as a district, we are on the right track for curriculum development. For the rollout of the educator evaluation system was found as being a significant accomplishment. The challenge this year will be to turn the teacher evaluation process into a productive tool our staff members, teaching and administrative, can use to improve future performance. Other comments with respect to your goals was overall you do a very effective job communicating with staff and the student body. So again, to recap the 3 the subsections of goals, you met all of those. The professional practice goals, student learning goals, and district improvement goals. The next section that we'll move into is taking a look at the 4 different standards that you've been evaluated on in part of this new evaluation process. And before I go into the first one, I just want to explain the scoring system for those standards. They are scored as either unsatisfactory, and I will define that for those that don't know. Performance on a standard or overall has not significantly improved following a rating of needs improvement, or performance is consistently below the requirements of a standard or overall and is considered inadequate or both. There's also needs improvement or developing. That's performance on a standard is overall is below the requirements of a standard or overall performance, or overall performance, but is not considered to be unsatisfactory at the time. Improvement is necessary and expected. For a new superintendent's, performance is on track to achieve proficiency within 3 years, which wouldn't apply in this case. The third is proficient. And proficient practice is understood to be fully satisfactory. This is the rigorous, expected level of performance. And finally, there's exemplary. A rating of exemplary indicates that practice significantly exceeds proficient and could serve as a model of practice regionally or statewide. So again, you know, for the benefit of the public, I want to make sure that they understand what those ratings mean. So for our first standard, standard 1, let me just write in here. Is on educational instruction. Is on instructional leadership, I'm sorry. Standard 1 is instructional leadership. And the indicators that we looked at in scoring instructional leadership are curriculum, instruction, assessment, evaluation, and data-informed decision-making. So for Standard 1 instructional leadership, Bob, you received an overall rating of proficient. You received a rating of proficient in curriculum, instruction, evaluation, and data-informed decision-making, and a rating of needs improvement for assessment. And some of the commentary that was made with respect to these indicators is that you made improvements in the way you use data, but we as a committee look forward to future efforts in this area as well. Mm-hmm. The committee would like you to continue to use the data available to you, and just as importantly, for you to provide evidence of this data-driven decisions to the committee. But this year showed significant improvement by the superintendent in instructional leadership. The curriculum committee's work is critical to moving the district forward with a cohesive pre-K through 12 vision. We believe that this is not a completed goal, but a work in progress.
Agreed.
The high school, with respect to the high school, entered this past school year without a guidance counselor. There were some members that had some concern with that. There were some parents that had expressed concerns that they weren't happy with the level of communication or the availability of services coming from the guidance office. You know, we do know to date that that has been corrected, but we should continue to make sure that's something we keep a close eye on.
Absolutely, yeah. And we discovered that early on. Not to, I'll hold the comments at the end, but I agree with the point made.
Okay. So again, an overall score of proficient on the Standard 1. Some of the evidence that was used to support that scoring by the members was analysis of classroom walkthrough data, analysis of student feedback, and analysis of leadership teams, agendas, and feedback. The second standard is based on management and operations. The indicators for that standard include environment, human resources management and development, scheduling and management information systems, law, ethics, and policies, as well as fiscal systems. For the Standard 2 management and operations, Bob, you received an overall rating of proficient. You received a rating of proficient in each of the indicators that I just mentioned. The budget process, we felt took significant forward strides this year. The superintendent, as well as the assistant superintendent, did a very good job of building the framework for the yearly budget. The committee would like to see a yearly process to include a perspective on the budgetary impact with existing contracts and commitments, so that we will not only have the subsequent budget years taken into account, but also, well, the current year as well as additional years.
Yeah, we had talked about
And we had talked about that previously too, so.
Yep.
Unanimously, the committee felt that your response following the Newtown tragedy demonstrated a great commitment in providing our students and our staff with a safe and comfortable learning environment. Your leadership and your collaboration with the other town departments was extremely impressive, so we thank you for that.
Thanks, Rob.
Some of the evidence that was used in supporting these marks was the budget presentations and related materials, analysis of staff feedback, as well as analysis, samples of leadership team schedules, agendas, and material. The rating for Standard 3 is based on family and community engagement. And the indicators that make up this standard are engagement, sharing responsibilities, communication, and family concerns. For Standard 3, family and community engagement, Bob, you received an overall rating of proficient as well. You received a rating of proficient in engagement, sharing responsibility, and family concerns, and you received a rating of exemplary in communication, and that says a lot. The school committee, again, unanimously noted that your performance in this category is very strong. You're effective in communicating with families, other Milford departments, and the community in general. You attend, anybody that goes to anything knows you attend many, many school and community events. You're always highly visible in our community and very approachable. In addition, you're actively involved in many local boards and organizations, and you always leverage those relationships for the greater good of the district. And again, that's a lot of extra time and greatly appreciated. I'm sure we had some evidence of that, but I don't have it marked down here. The fourth and final standard is based on professional culture, and the indicators that make up this section are commitment to high standards, cultural proficiency, communication, continuous learning, shared vision, and managing conflict. For Standards 4, Professional Culture, Bob, you received an overall rating of proficient. You received a rating of proficient in each of the indicators that I just mentioned. You made improvements in the way that you defined concrete programs, capable of implementation in the short term, that grow the Milford Public School System. Discussions with the committee have moved away from lofty ideals and towards real-world solutions. And there's been plenty of those over the past year. The Safety and Security Subcommittee meetings have demonstrated that when our administrative team is brought together to collaborate and discuss their needs in a group setting, great strides are taken. The superintendent should find more opportunities to bring our administration together to have them share concerns, issues, and needs. This will build consistency in the way our administration interacts with our teachers and community members. This consistency among the administrative team is especially important in the coming school year. As the teacher evaluation process rolled out during the 2012-2013 school year, it must become a learning tool our staff members can use to improve future performance. The administration must demonstrate that teachers and administrators can communicate openly and productively about evaluation and goals disagreements. And teachers will have the support they need to craft goals that further the superintendent's vision for the district. In evidence of that was analysis of staff feedback, samples of principal and administrative practice goals, and the school committee meeting agendas and material. Just before I finish, I want to circle back to the beginning. So having gone through your previous year goals as well as the 4 performance standards, how the committee as a whole felt it rated on the impact of student learning. It had to be either scored low, moderate, or high. The average score of the committee was moderate. That is the feedback that I had, again, from collaboration with all the school committee members we had put together and wanted to share with you. Again, there was a great consent, it was easier than I thought it was going to be because there was a good consensus among the committee members. And, that gave me a secure feeling knowing that, we're all in the same, going in the same direction, all on the same page. So I open it up to the committee members for further comments or questions. Patrick?
I think overall, Bob, was a very strong year. I think that we knew going in, and we've been saying this for 2 years now, that we weren't going to fix our curriculum woes in one fell swoop. But I think that the fact that we brought in Kevin McIntyre to serve as our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum demonstrates to you that we have faith that you've gathered a grasp of curriculum, know what you need, and we feel comfortable giving you, the resources that you need to put that in place. And I mean, I think that that's, as a committee, we always talk about, especially in years where the budget is very tight, where teachers are much more important than administrators. And we were in a tight budget year this year, and we felt that another administrator was what we needed to get our curriculum piece in place. And the fact that the committee it supported that, I think really speaks to your ability to demonstrate to us that you know what you need to align our curriculum, and I really look forward to that. I think also, too, about the teacher evaluation process. This year we were just getting it in place, and I think we all knew that. I think that we were just going to find a way to get the evaluation in place so we can use it in subsequent years. And I think that consistency is the word with the teacher evaluation process moving forward, where the goals that are being created among the teachers and the principals are goals that further your vision for the district, because we have faith in your vision for the district. So, and I know that I feel comfortable that's going to happen in this upcoming year, and I know that you're going to further refine and improve that process. So I'm very comfortable. I thought it was a great year, and I was very pleased to have you.
Thank you. Don?
Bob, I think you do a great job. I really do. I applaud you in all the efforts that you put forward. Last year we, really asked you, going into, what was it, your 5th year, to really start taking that leadership role. And I think you demonstrated that a lot throughout the year. So congratulations on that. There were two things that I just wanted to bring up, and then the negative things, and then I'll make you feel better afterwards. But my big thing was the safety and security piece. And, we did a lot of effort into making sure the schools were safer and better. And, a year ago, I went through a media bashing to make sure that we had funds to do things in here that needed to be done. And one of those was video cameras. And yes, we got a video camera up at the high school field, but the ones that we wanted that we said we wanted in the upper C wing, the F wing, and all the other places, they weren't done. And I know that there were IT constraints and issues, but at the end of the day, we need to clear through those obstacles and make sure these things get done in a timely manner when it comes to the kids' safety. So what I'm going to ask you to do, because I believe when you bring up a problem, you should make a suggestion on how to solve it, is to work with whether it's an outside group or an inside group, I don't care. But get those things in place before the start of the school year. So if we can get that done, I'd appreciate it. I'd also appreciate it if you could have a safety and security meeting with Mike and myself before the school year starts. I want to make sure that that's done. Should have been done. I want to make sure it is done before the school starts. The second piece is, last year we had a unique situation with the director of guidance. I know things weren't normal by any stretch of the imagination. So that to me, I received numerous complaints throughout the year from parents, whether it was a parent whose child was sick and couldn't come to school, a parent that felt their child was being bullied, several parents whose kids had drug issues. The number one response was that our guidance department was not responding to parents. And again, this isn't you. I think you do a great job responding to parents. And when you're brought into it, you address it. But what I'd like to see you do before the beginning of the school year is to make sure that the goals of the guidance department for 2013-14 are set so that one of their main goals is to improve the communications with parents when their kids have issues. Because I nor any committee member should ever have to receive a call like that. Not that I mind receiving calls like that. I'm happy that those parents felt comfortable reaching out. And I know when I reached out to you, you addressed it immediately. So your reaction and everything to it was awesome. So, but those are the two things that really stuck out to me in the past year that we, because I'll include myself, I'm not passing everything on you, all of us could have done a better job to make sure that those things were done. So I'd really like to see us put an effort here in the summer and make sure that those things are in place before the school year starts, so that the kids have a better situation going into next year. Other than that, the way you responded to Newtown, you were proactive. You were a leader not just in the region, but in the country. And it was amazing. The whole thing with WBZ recognizing you, AP Press, the safety drill you had here, just absolutely incredible. And you should be applauded for that. I mean, I was really, really impressed. And I was happy to participate in those things, and really, really loved seeing the initiative and the drive that you took in that. A year ago, was I a huge fan of Bob's? I liked you, but I guess I didn't really have an appreciation of everything that you do, and I don't think half the people out there realize everything that you are responsible for, and how many tasks you have on a daily basis, and the responsibilities. It's overwhelming. Never mind having 7 bosses like us. I mean, I wouldn't want your job if you paid me. But with that being said, I think overall you did a tremendous job. So please, I'm just pointing out a couple things that I think we dropped the ball on, and again I want to make sure we fix immediately. Because next year I'd love to see you, have a glowing review, and I think you're pretty close to that. If it was just a couple of things that could have been done a little bit better, I would have been happy to improve my marks and for you. And not that they weren't good anyway, but just want to congratulate you, tell you you're doing a great job. You took that leadership role on. You've got a great group, and you've made some changes, and you brought in some great people. And I really love the idea about the healthcare thing that you want to do, and I want to see, if that takes off, maybe we can do other things like the programs like that. Anything that obviously that's going to drive revenue is a great thing. So, you have our support. I think last year was a good year for you. And I think next year could be a tremendous year for you. So just keep down that leadership path, and if you need anything, we're here to support you. So good job, and can't wait for next year.
Thanks, Don. Mike?
You know, Bob, when I was going through your review and a couple of the moves you made in the last couple of weeks, like, all I could think about was an interview I saw with President Reagan. And he said, I'm far from the smartest president. He said, but I surrounded myself with the best. And that's what a good leader does. You know, you don't have to be the best, but you surround yourself with the best. You know, and I sit here and I think about it, and I see Kathy, you know, with the budget, and I see Kevin now with curriculum, and you know, you addressed it. Last year we told you there's a problem with curriculum. You jumped right in and did a great job, and to finish it off, you hired someone who's an expert in that field. But everybody, you got Meg, you got Lucy, all the principals, and your latest move with Connie at the high school, I think is just perfect, perfect. So I think I agree with Don. I think this coming year is really gonna be your year. It's almost like building a sports team, a baseball team, or whatever. Now you got everybody you need, and now you gotta move forward and go get that grade that you definitely deserve. Because I think you do a great job. I think you have the respect of all the people that work for you. It's a very unique situation, and not only the people that work for you, the parents, the children. Was it 2 years ago you went to Washington, D.C., and I was at the graduation at the 8th grade. And I saw you come walking in with a suit on and a red shirt and no tie, and I'm looking at him like, and you got up on stage and you opened your jacket. You had the shirt on that all the kids had worn in Washington, D.C. And they all, you know, just roared and clapped. And I tell people all the time, you have a very unique ability to connect with children, to connect with parents, to connect with the people that you work with, to connect with the community. You know, I hear you on the radio. You do a phenomenal job. And I just want to reiterate, I believe that this year is yours, so go get it. Okay? Great job.
Thanks, Mike.
Jim?
Just, I'll probably reiterate some of the comments that were just made, and, you know, I know no one likes to get a B when they can have an A, but that exemplary rating is a very high standard, and it represents the model for all superintendents. So it's very difficult to get, but I think you're right there. You're right on the cusp of that. I think you continue to grow professionally. You're a very effective communicator. You certainly continue to develop your leadership skills, and to Mike and Donnie's point, you've built a great team around you, and I think you've put us on the right path. You've put the entire district on the right path. So, like everyone else, I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here. I think the biggest challenge is going to be demonstrating measurable results. I think we need to work very closely with you to identify what those quantitative measures are going to be. You know, whether they're, you know, how do we measure improvements in achievement, you know, MCAS scoring or standardized testing, graduation rates, whatever those things are. I want to be able to see measurable improvements, and I think that's going to be a very difficult thing for us to do. But I know that you're up for it, and that we'll be able to do that.
Joe?
Thanks, Joe. If I may just make a couple of comments.
Please.
First, thank you all. It's a labor of love. It truly is. In fact, Kevin and I were just talking before the meeting today, and I shared that. It's, you know, you really don't work a day in your life when you really love what it is you do. And I know I said this to the committee before, and I just I'm really moved by the evaluation. Thank you. I'm not sure what to say about it, except that I will continue to work hard and work harder. And I love what I do. I love serving the town of Milford. I really enjoy keeping it real by connecting with kids, and I think that's the most important thing. And by having those connections, whether it's, you know, people might view my going on a field trip with kids as an escape from the office, when it's the motive of that is not that at all. It's about living in the world that these kids live in, and to see that 8th grade experience of kids, sort of a coming of age of being an 8th grader to go to Washington, D.C. A lot of communities still don't do that. And it's a great opportunity that our kids have and may never otherwise have if Milford didn't offer it to them. And there's so many rich opportunities in Milford, and I'm just so proud to serve this community. And to thank you all, and Patrick, you're absolutely right on the money. The school committee, I couldn't be as successful as the evaluation success that I was if I didn't have the support of the school committee, both the philosophical support of the school committee, but also the financial support. After all, it's your budget, and you've supported these initiatives, and I intend to prove you right. we have a gem with Kevin coming on board. I can tell you that. I was at the superintendent's conference with Kevin the last couple of days, and talking with people who've known Kevin in his career, who just rave about him and see Kevin and just talk about how great he is. We know we have a great entity with Kathy.
I like to set much lower expectations.
Yeah, well, I'm setting the mark high for you, you know. And no, not with this group. And and I completely agree that the leadership team, I believe, is finally in place, and it's strong, and it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a tremendous year, to use Don's word, and I look forward to leading the way on that. And we'll take care of these other issues. The guidance issue, just to reflect on that, I think we know that was a little bit tricky, the timing of it and the nature around what had transpired. But there was definitely a ball dropped there. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Yeah, it needs. It will. I will tell you that Matt Bayonne, who's now our new guidance director, who's in place, he and I have a meeting on Monday, and already been set prior to this meeting, and I will be sure to let him know about my communication expectations as well as the committee's expectations on that.
And maybe we can invite him in.
Sure.
To one of the early sessions.
I think also too, you'd be very pleased. Carolyn, the high school principal, Carolyn, her background is as a director of guidance, and so that's one of her strengths. And so I agree with you. The ball was dropped. There's no question about it. But I do think that we have the right administrator to mold the guidance director to perform in the way that we want our guidance director to perform. So, of course, it's your responsibility to make sure it happens, but I think the pieces are there now. I honestly do.
And I have I have been talking with some superintendents the last couple of days as well. I mean, every district in Massachusetts is dealing with the evaluation tool rollout. There are those districts that have not begun this process yet. We're well ahead because we weren't expected to have begun last year, but we did. Right. And so it puts us in a better place, a good place at least, but certainly a better place by having that 1 year familiarity with it. So I think there will be some goals. I will certainly write the goals in such a way that there is some measurable, sort of quantify these targets. Make it a little easier for the committee to say, we have a pre and a post to compare it. Clearly there's growth made, and I think that'll be a little bit easier. Since most of you don't live in the industry I live in education, it may make it easier if I can help you, give you the tools to say, yeah, I see that the kids have made growth here to here. There are a few changing targets with the movement from MCAS to PARC and other things. It's not as easy as it used to be. Did we make AYP? Did we not make AYP? All that's kind of out the window in terms of how the assessments are changing. But we can certainly target, and Kevin will be helping me to do that. We've talked at length about how we can really get into, and just to give a little foreshadowing here in my last comment is about what I've sort of been thinking about the last few days is we'll strengthen our leadership team. We have a great, strong team. We'll have our retreat in August to plan our map for the year. And I'm envisioning, for example, 4 days out of the week, at least 2 hours each day, that the core team of myself, of Kevin, Meg, and Jen, and not to exclude Kathy. Kathy's functioning more in business end of it. It's not a direct instructional, but for focusing on instruction is to visit each of the schools. Let's say Monday is, for example, is Memorial in Brookside. And the four of us will go in and we'll tackle that together. We'll go in, we'll talk to the principal. I'll spend time talking, say, with Lisa Burns and Lisa Firth, and we'll do visits to classrooms. We'll shadow observations of teachers, and we'll have debriefings afterwards, and we'll have those discussions. And I think that will really get us to a point where we could find out what's going wrong long before it ever hits the surface of a test. We'll see it in action. So I have a few points, but I'll spell all that out in detail as to how we'll get there. When I do the next step for me is to reflect on this experience and then to set the goals, the preliminary goals, and then additional goals from what I've taken from tonight. And I guess I'll present that at our next meeting.
Okay. And should we forego our August meeting, we'll look forward to those refined goals coming back to us probably in the first meeting in September. So that would be great.
Yep, no problem. And again, thank you very much. I appreciate all your comments and the points you all take. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the report of the superintendent of schools.
Me again.
That's you.
Yeah, right. The first item, I'm pleased to report, we had asked, I believe the committee had asked by July 10th to have resolution or have met before to come up with a resolution of some budget options to resolve as some families had come to the last meeting in June, as you recall, to express concern about the high enrollment at Memorial School, in grade 1 particularly. We've been watching those numbers. The numbers don't seem to suggest that there are going to be withdrawals from there. At the time, Lisa Beyer was on vacation, and I was waiting to see what was in her inbox in terms of withdrawals from the district or additional students. Numbers have hovered about the same. So by adding the additional grade 1 teacher, we're able to keep that to about 20, 21 on average in grade 1, which is right where we want to be, so that sweet spot of 20 to 22. It's about 20 on average in grade 1. And we were able to free up that money, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were able to free that up with the internal appointments at the high school. As you mentioned, Carrie Bonnick has now succeeded Mike Tempesta as principal. She recently appointed Mark McGilvery and Brian Mackey in the district as her assistant principals. That freed up those monies to bring in teachers to those positions at a lower cost, which then afforded us the opportunity to hire the grade 1 teacher at a net zero to the district in terms of the budget planning. So that worked out to be great. So we have no budget proposals to send to you tonight.
That was fantastic. Very happy to see that happen. I hope we got a message out to Miss Hornberger, I think it was, who was here, and so she she certainly raised that concern here, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure she'll be happy to hear. So
no question about it. So we're very excited about that. And it's always nice when it solves multiple problems at the same time. So
yeah, it's great.
that's the update on that one. And then I think actually Patrick already mentioned it at the last in the announcements about Woodland School Building Project. We have a meeting coming up on the 31st. I guess that's next. Is it next week?
Well, we have a meeting actually, I believe, occurring right now regarding the engineer's assessment of the current site.
All right.
So that's occurring now, and then our next full meeting as the building committee, I believe you're correct, yes.
This is the 31st.
Yeah.
So that work is still ongoing, and Kevin was kind enough to sit in on while I was away on family vacation, to sit in on my behalf.
Fantastic project. I can see why the community's so excited about it.
Yeah, it's very exciting stuff. A lot of staff members, I guess, from Woodland School came out to the event as well. And that's all I have this evening.
Good, thank you. Next up is the report of the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Human Resources.
I have for the committee this evening 2 warrants for their approval. The first warrant is in the amount of $38,013.60.
We have a motion from Donnie, second from Joe. All in favor? Unanimous in favor?
The second warrant is in the amount of $526,029.23.
I have a motion from Pat, second from Joe. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous in favor?
The committee also has a list of the latest appointments from our previous meeting. No vote is required. It is for your information only. And there are gifts.
Thank you. Yes.
Chair.
I see that there are. My yellow folder is here. I know that there are gifts. There was a gift from Knobscott Reading Council Incorporated. It was a grant written by Kathleen Peliquin for the purpose of books and a total amount of $500. That was very nice. We also have another gift from the Family Network Project PTO, Family Gift Network. It is in the gift of $1,900 for contract services and supplies, programs, events, and playgroups. Very nice. Wow, they keep on coming. And we have a third one tonight as well. Donation from Karen and Dale Winkler, School Family Network gift, in the total amount of $300 for parents as teachers. So that was very nice as well. Special thanks to all of them. Do we have a motion to accept the gifts? Motion from Mike, second from Patrick. All in favor? Unanimous in favor. Next up, we have our first report of the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. Kevin?
Great, thank you.
Yep.
I've enjoyed my first 3 weeks in Milford. It's clear that there are a number of dedicated professionals who are committed to student success in a number of outstanding programs. I've had the opportunity to meet with principals, assistant principals, curriculum team leaders, mentor coordinators, and a number of teachers. And clear priorities are starting to emerge that we'll be tackling during the school year. I want to quickly discuss some of these priorities and projects. My overall goal is to support schools and classrooms that are responsive to the needs of our students and are focused on student achievement and growth. It's important to note that this is a time of rapid change in education, and there are a number of initiatives and programs at the state and national level that are impacting local school districts on a day-to-day basis. And a number of these initiatives and programs and priorities kind of address a lot of these issues. The first piece is the mentoring program, and I had the opportunity to meet with 2 of our 3 mentoring coordinators, and we reviewed the 2-day induction program. We talked about a number of ways to kind of enhance that program, and we're looking at that program critically. We want to potentially incorporate either 3 to 5 panel discussions or seminars for new teachers, focusing on areas that I think all new teachers kind of struggle with or wrestle with, and these include things like working and communicating with parents, assessments and data, special education, and classroom management. Okay. Another area that I really want to focus on this year is data collection, reporting, and analysis. There's a lot of new initiatives in this area, both happening from the national and the state level. I want to provide training for our administrators in Edwin Analytics, which is a new tool that the Massachusetts Department of Education is rolling out. And this is replacing the old data warehouse. It's looking at MCAS data. It's looking at at-risk students across the district from K through 12. It's also looking at college career readiness, as well as graduation rates and students who are graduation ready or not. And they're rolling out a number of new tools that are in various stages of readiness. I also want to continue looking at some of the new reports the data warehouse is rolling out, and a new program that's been rolled out by the state, DSACs, which are the regional assistance groups, called Visual Analytic Resources. And what this is it's a dynamic Excel spreadsheet that can look at MCAS data down to the student level, at the school level, at the classroom level, and you can kind of manipulate it in real time, which is kind of nice. So if you're looking at a report sometimes, I know when schools have done presentations, you probably say, geez, you probably have some kind of question. This tool allows you to answer that question in kind of real time, because you can say, well, how did our special needs students do on this particular question, or how did our students from low-income families do on this particular question or standard, and you can kind of pull that information up quickly and look at it in multiple grade levels. So we're going to try to roll that tool out for our principals, our curriculum team leaders, and our teachers to use. I'm also looking at professional development, and Bob, myself, the principals, the curriculum team leaders will be kind of engaging in this and looking at how we're going to use that time. That time's very valuable. I'm also looking at potential administrative professional development, and part of my conversations with the principals are looking at what their needs are. And we want to make sure we're meeting their needs so they have the tools to be successful. A big piece of the work is going to be with curriculum development and mapping. And I've been reviewing the curriculum maps that the CTLs have been working on. I'm in conjunction with Bob and that team over the year. And we're looking at ways to kind of make those usable living documents that teachers are using on a regular basis to track kind of where they are and where they're going. And we want to update the curriculum maps that are on the website as well with these new curriculum maps once we find a good format to put them in that's going to work consistently from K through 12. Another piece is I'm looking at the curriculum team leader meetings, and we're setting priorities for those. We're looking obviously at the curriculum maps. We're looking at assessment, we're looking at data analysis, and we're looking to use that time to support some of these broad district initiatives. A big shift that's happening across the state and across the country is the shift in Massachusetts from the curriculum frameworks to the Common Core, and I'm trying to assess where we are in terms of the crosswalk between the old standards and the Common Core, and then trying to provide as much information to principals, teachers, and families about the new PARCC test, how the Common Core and teaching is going to be impacted by the PARCC test, that type of thing. So everybody's kind of on the same page when we make that jump in 2014-15 to the new assessments. Again, the administrative professional development, looking at Common Core, looking at PARCC, looking at data literacy, and looking at how to support differentiated instruction in all of our classrooms across the district, formative assessments, and response to intervention. And I talked about assessments, and I've been able to review the elementary assessment schedule and engage some of our elementary principals and how they're using those assessments to inform instruction, to place students, to help students succeed. We're looking at pushing for more common assessments, and part of the new teacher evaluation model, the district-determined measures, that's going to be a big part of that, and that's something that all districts are wrestling with right now across the Commonwealth. And then a push for a response to intervention, RTI, and that's nothing more than how do we help struggling students across the district? How are we supporting struggling students across the district? We're probably going to see some common things in all schools. We're also going to, we have different resources and different needs at different levels, so we want to also give schools and principals the opportunity to kind of meet the particular challenges at their grade level or in their building as well. I plan to make a kind of a broader presentation at the next school committee meeting that will provide the committee with further details on these curriculum assessment and instruction initiatives.
Sounds great. Sounds like you've been here a year already.
We've had a chance to talk to you. Super. Oh, I'm sorry. Just gonna say, just already engaged, and I just love to hear we. And that resonates with me because he's got ownership of Milford. He's only been on the job for a couple of weeks, and it's we, and it's not I or it's not you. You know, and that's really important to me. I just wanted to echo, just to underscore that. So.
Absolutely, and
I didn't mean
even
to step on you.
and even the mention of the data analysis falling in line with sort of some of the stuff that we talked about already tonight, with Bob's goals. So, Patrick?
We spent a lot of time, invested a lot of time with our staff over the past year in rolling out RTI. And so its continued success is obviously something that's very important to this committee. And I'm wondering, not that I expect you to have an assessment, but sort of walk me through your thought process and how you would assess where we are thus far in our RTI training and how we're approaching that concept, that very important concept.
You know, it's hard for me to kind of come up with like a real solid, strong assessment, but I'd say buildings are in different places, which is not atypical in any school system. I think people are looking at the right, when I say the principals are looking at the right issues, they're approaching it in a thoughtful way, which is really what you want to have happen. I think, the focus really, you really want to focus on those tier 1 interventions, which are the interventions that are happening right in the classroom. Because when you pull a student from the classroom, they're missing something to get something. And then you have to kind of reconcile that down the road. So as much as we can do in the classroom with those tier 1 interventions, and I'm hearing good things about the tier 2 interventions, which are a little more intensive, that folks are looking at those also thoughtfully and also looking at creative ways to use staff, faculty, to really kind of get the best folks in front of some of our more, some of our students that are struggling with, math, ELA, reading, those types of things. So I think we're in a pretty good place. That's my initial read. Okay. RTI is always an iterative process where you're always looking to kind of, move forward.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Next up on the agenda is new business. Do any members have any new business? Seeing none. Do any members have any old business?
I just had a question. Do you have an update? Does anybody know anything about the IT with the town, where we are? Did we hire anybody to come in and kind of do an assessment or anything?
Yeah, I got an email today from Rick Villani. There's a task force meeting coming up, I'm not sure the date, next week, and they're going to discuss a proposal to do this full inspection of
full assessment.
The full assessment, yeah. I don't know what the cost is on that. I do know that they're working. I think that the town was looking to work with World Band in town, and I was hoping we could build some assessment, at no charge on our end. But there's going to be a fee of some sort. I haven't seen any prices on that though, so that will come up with the next. And I can let you know when that meeting is. I'll let the committee know when we're meeting.
That would be good.
Pop in or have an input on that. I'll be sure to get the date out to everybody.
All right.
But there is forward momentum. It's just I'm not sure how the timeline will lay out and what the cost will be. But the town has an active interest, as the school committee does, in having this assessment of the technology done. But I'll forward that to you. I have it on my computer.
All right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up though, because we do want to stay on top of it.
Yes.
And, hopefully it'd be nice to know where we are standing come the beginning of the school year.
And I did ask that to the group, saying that time's at a premium here. We can't be pushing this out.
Right.
I wanted this resolved before the start of school.
Right.
Yeah. I did push on that.
I think as a department, and I don't speak for the committee just for myself, but I would envision that whomever is in charge of the IT, in charge of it on a town-wide level. I think what's most important to us in these school buildings is that we have an IT person who's responsive to our problems, and we're just like, we are about one division. I mean, admittedly the largest division of the town, but we're only one, and we just need someone to take care of these issues that we have. And so if it's an outside assessment, if it's a contractor, if it's whatever the wisdom of the committee is, let them know that we just need our IT needs addressed so we can move forward. And we have to worry about educating students. We need the IT stuff taken care of.
Right. Thanks, Pat. Anyone else? No. Okay, we do have an executive session tonight to discuss matters that otherwise could not be discussed in open session without jeopardizing our position. We will not be returning into regular session, and the executive session does require a roll call. So, Patrick?
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Yes? Okay. Great. We have a motion to adjourn. Motion from Don, second from Mike. All in favor?
We should probably adjourn after the executive session.
I thought we had to adjourn regular session. Okay. Well, we will not be returning. Thank you.